Fact of the matter is, people don't hire companies, they hire people.
So today we're going to learn how to, or just go over some basics of testing jewelry just to confirm the type of metal that you're working with. We've got some examples of sterling silver. I've got some white gold, yellow gold, and then I've got another sterling example here. So we're also going to go over testing for diamond authenticity, just checking to see if any of these stones might happen to be diamonds. So we're going to start with the basic sterling testing. I've got a ring here that is marked on the inside 925, but we're just going to verify that it is actually sterling. It's a nice little marcasite with purple stone there in the center. So first step is to take the ring. You want to pick a part that isn't terribly visible on the ring because you don't want it to be obvious because it does leave just a little bit of an abrasion on the ring, but it's nothing that's gonna really, it doesn't affect the value as long as you're not like really grinding in there and getting the ring down. So we want to just give it a little bit of a scratch onto the surface there. If you're doing multiple pieces, it's easier to just remember where you've put the mark for each ring, but you do this ring and then pick up your next ring and do a second mark, pick up your next one, and just remember that mark 1, 2, 3, 4 belongs to which ring. And then you can take your testing solution. This is for the sterling silver. It's gonna start out as sort, ooh, goodness. If you do that, we have the stop mixture. That's your acid stop, okay? But I didn't get anything on me, so I'm cool. It's gonna start out as sort of like a brownish iodine color. And when you apply it to real silver, it's gonna turn a rust red color because that's essentially the metal is oxidizing here on the surface of the slate stone, and that is what we're using, is slate. It comes usually standard in any testing kit that you can buy online, which these are available anywhere from eBay to Amazon. So you're just gonna let it sit there for a second and do its thing, and you can kind of see that the surface, you can see the redness developing. Again, if this were not sterling, it wouldn't have basically this little bit of red that's there in the center of the acid. That's the oxidization. That's the rust basically that's developed from the sterling. So we can be assured that this is in fact a sterling silver ring and that the mark is correct. Again, if this were not sterling, that little red mark would not be there and we would just have this sort of light grayish blue colored paper. For the gold, it's a little different. You're not looking for a change in color. You're looking for a dissolution or a rate of dissolve. How quickly does the metal dissolve when you apply the acid to it? So this ring, it's a fairly basic vintage ring. It's, I believe, either onyx or dark blue sapphire. It's hard to really say. We're also going to test it because I think it's got little diamond chips around the edge. And this ring would greatly benefit from a cleaning, but we'll do that later. So to test for the gold, we're gonna do another good mark. We're gonna just do the underside of the band here. Just get a fairly good scraping and try to get kind of a long piece. So we've got kind of a long scratch mark there on the surface. And I'm gonna start with our lowest denomination, I guess you'd call it, of testing solution, which is 10 karat. Now the ring is marked 10 karat. The key here, when you have a 10 karat gold item, you're gonna start with 10K. Theoretically, the 10 karat should not dissolve this. Now I know that sounds counterintuitive, but the one that will dissolve it will be the next higher up. So the 14 karat solution, if this is in fact 10 karat, will dissolve the 10 karat mark. So you're looking for the next higher up step to actually dissolve the metal. If this weren't 10 karat and I applied the 10 karat gold acid to it, it would theoretically just wash it away and be gone. But we can see that it's actually staying pretty steady. It's not dissolving the gold mark that's left there. So I'm gonna just kind of dab that up as gently as possible to leave, see how the gold is still left there on the slate. So now I'm gonna take the 14K, which is this one, and apply it. And theoretically, this should wash it away pretty quickly. And pretty much immediately you can see a reaction to the gold, and it's starting to kind of basically eat it away. And then once I dab it off, you can see that a large majority of the gold has been eaten away from the surface. So we know for fair certain that it is in fact a 10 karat gold ring. There are cases where you'll have a plating situation where a ring is plated in either 10 karat, 18 karat. Usually if they're going to plate something, it's 18 karat or above. What's going to happen there is you want to make sure that you scrape through far enough to get through that plating, because it will initially, if you don't go far enough, test positive for gold. But then if you tested it again in that same spot, you would get through to the core metal, and that core metal is usually sometimes sterling or nickel or something, you know, costume, and it's obviously not going to test positive. So you want to make sure that you scrape enough to get through that top layer. Now we're going to check this one to see if it does in fact have diamond chips around the edge. It looks like it should. So I've got my little handy diamond tester here. It's nice and warmed up, so I've got both my buttons on. I've got it turned up to about the halfway mark. And the little dial there. I'm going to take it. I'm going to test it on mine just to make sure it's working properly. That's the sound we want to hear. Nice alarm. Diamonds, diamonds. That's metal. Oh, yeah. Sometimes when they're super tiny, it's hard to get a really good read on it because you hit the metal. That is in fact a diamond. So we have little diamond chips around this ring. I'm going to clean it up because it's a little grody and it needs to be cleaned. So through our testing, we know that we in fact have a 10 karat gold ring with diamond chips. So we're going to test this other little, this is a white gold ring here. It is marked, ooh, that's a good one. So this one has been sized at some point because it's a vintage or antique ring. And the marking has actually been marred on the inside so that all I can see is that it's a K. So this will be a good one for us to test and find out what kind of K is it. I should have left that on. Turn that back on because we'll test the diamonds here in a second. Okay, so for this one I'm going to make more than one mark. I'm going to be fairly gentle with it because this band is fairly thin. And as I said, you can see it's been either sized or repaired at some point. This has actually got a little bit of a line in the ring. It's not actually separate. There's no separation, but let's see here. I'm going to get the side here where it's a little thicker. Because it's so thin, like I said, I'm going to do probably 2, maybe even 3, just so I can get an accurate reading from each acid. Okay, so now I've got 3 marks on there from this antique white gold of some sort ring. Okay, so we're going to start with the 10K. Let's see what it does. It's holding steady, so we know it's at least 10 karat gold. Let's see. And the 14 fairly well dissolved it, so I'm going to be confident that this is a 10 karat white gold ring. Let's see, and just for the heck of it, we're going to try a little bit of the 18 on here. Yeah, so that's like immediately it's gone. So because it dissolved fairly rapidly with the 14 karat solution, we know that it is in fact a 10 karat gold ring. So we can be confident that this is a 10 karat gold wedding band here. Oh, we're going to test the diamonds on that one real quick, just to verify. That's a good sound. That's the sound we like to hear. And we'll test the little side diamond too. That's good. All right, I'm going to test this ring, the stones in this one, just because they're white and then you never know. More than likely they are not diamonds because this is just a simple sterling silver ring. And typically jewelers do not put diamonds in sterling. So if that is in fact the case, which it is, they're not diamonds, your tester is going to have little to no reaction on there. So those are in fact not diamonds. White stones, probably CZ, cubic zirconia. And that's about it on testing jewelry. It's fairly basic, fairly straightforward. Once you get the knack of the gold levels, as in which one dissolves what level, once you get that down, it's pretty easy. The sterling is very straightforward. If it turns red, then it's definitely sterling. If there's no effect, then it's not sterling. That's pretty much it. Thank you.